These last few years have made us question everything. Our relationships, our jobs, what constitutes an office, and who we are. In a world filled with chaos, confusion, and uncertainty, it's time for some clarity. It's time to start understanding one another. It's time to start understanding ourselves. We envision a world where everyone knows their why. But even more, we envision a world where everyone knows their YOS. Their why, their how, and their what. The operating system that drives you, that lets the world know where you stand, what your unique gift is, and most importantly, who you are. YOS. Are you ready?
Hello and welcome to Why for the month of May. I am so excited to be here today with you guys. We are talking Why this month with everyday leader Melahni Ake and life coach Laura White. So before we get started, I want to introduce myself. For those of you that are watching for the first time, my name is Dan Dominguez and I am the Chief Growth Officer at the Why Institute. And my why is to contribute to the success of others. My how is to challenge the status quo and to do things differently. And my what is to make sense of the complex and challenging. So if you're watching for the first time, you're saying, what the heck does that all mean, right? So let me give you a quick definition of the 9 whys for those of you that are watching for the first time. So we have found that everybody has a why, and there are 9 whys. So the first one is contribute. You heard about that. People with the why of contribute believe in contributing to a greater cause, making a difference, adding value, and making an impact. And our guest today is a contribute, so we'll talk to her about that. The second one is trust. People who create relationships based on trust, and that's Laura's what? Make sense. To make sense out of things, especially if they're complex or challenging. Number 4, better way. People who like to find a better way and share it with others. Number 5, right way. People who like to do things the right way in order to get consistent, reliable results. Number 6, challenge the status quo. That's Melahni's why. To think differently, challenge the status quo, and make things fun. Mastery. Number 7, to seek mastery and understanding, to learn things at a deep level. Number 8 is clarify, to make things crystal clear and understandable. That is our founders' how. And simplify, to decrease complexity, make things simple and easy to understand for everyone. So let me introduce our guest today. Let me start with Melahni Ake from Everyday Leaders, the founder of Everyday Leaders. Hi, Melahni. How are you?
Hi, Dan. Great to be here again.
It's so great to have you on. You know, I think just going to make you like once every 3 months, I'm going to check in with Melahni. And so let me tell the audience a little bit about you for those that haven't seen you. So you're the founder of Everyday Leaders. And one of the things you talk about is developing your heart for leadership to become a better leader every day. And I get to see you almost every day, and I see you do that in your life. I love this from your LinkedIn profile, Melahni. It says, I have discovered that my greatest strengths is to add value to others by challenging people to connect to their purpose through creating programs that inspire them to explore, develop, and share their passions. So you simply believe that we all have the potential to help each other realize and live our dreams that inspire positive change in the world. So, and you're also, when you're the one that's still doing this, building an exclusive team of everyday leader, why professional coaches, which Laura is one of your network. So we can't wait to meet Laura and hear more from her. So Laura, let's bring you on.
Hi.
Hi, Laura. So good to see you. So Laura White, YOS is, let's put it up there. Laura is contribute, simplify, trust. So you're a business and life coach, you're a personal growth coach, a speaker, an author, a John Maxwell's leadership trainer like Melahni, and a DISC certified and now YOS certified trainer. So I love this about your LinkedIn. You talk about, you really call people out for having such a noble YOS of contribute, simplify, and trust. You really, I mean, I guess that's the simplify. You get to the bottom because you say, becoming a better version of yourself demands more than absorbing as many YouTube and LinkedIn videos and podcasts as you can. Serious leaders know they've accomplished much, but they're not done either. You're the guide who walks them through your method to get them to be better people, both professionally and in real life. This is the simplify. There's no way to cheat. If you lack authentic confidence at work, bottom line, you're going to bring that home. And you truly believe that, right, Laura?
Absolutely. That's why I say life and business coach, because wherever you are at work, you bring it home. And wherever you're at home, you're going to bring it to work. So that's why I'm always working on the personal and professional life. And that's why I put the two together, the disc and the why, bam.
I love that. We had the opportunity to be the Y Institute. We were in Las Vegas for BizX, which is Action Coach, their big program. We got to meet Tony Alessandro, who runs a company called 24/7 Assessments, and they work with all the assessments in the world. And it was one of those weird conversations because he's been with DISC since like the 70s, right? And so I went to talk to him and to show him the why. And I wondered, what's he going to say? How does that work? But it was a fantastic conversation. He was eating lunch right before his keynote. So here I go talking to him. I know most people don't want to be bothered right before they give a keynote. But I said, hey, Tony, I want to introduce myself. And we had a conversation. And before the end of that conversation, he said, you know what we need to do is we need to put these together. I want to see what that combination of these two assessments work. And he called it an assessment. So we let him slide because we call it a discovery. We say it's not an assessment. We don't assess anything. We don't put a number on how much you contribute. We don't put a number on how much you challenge, how much you better way. The disc does, right? You have a number for your D, your I, your S, and C. But one of the things he said is, I love this because this is more about your motivation and beliefs. And what we do is more about how you communicate. So they really do complement each other. And I love that you said that, Laura. So, I'm going to have to put a check in the mail for Laura for just guiding us right to it, right? So, the topic today is talking why to why. And one of the things that I love accomplishing through the show is when coaches watch, they get ideas. Oh, I hadn't thought of using it that way. So Melahni, you brought Laura on. And what does it mean to you? And I see you do this every day. What does it mean to you to talk why to why?
I think it's the only way that you can communicate. It's really the only way that you can communicate, because a lot of the times we know as leadership coaches, and we've all learned this through maybe our job or our family or just trial and error, that you try to say something and you're like, why didn't somebody get it? Why doesn't the other person hear me? I have said this a million times, even if you've got a 2-year-old, a teenager, or a college student, right? Or an elderly family member. And you're like, I have said this so many times. I don't know why you don't understand me. It's when you start to really understand the motivation of why they care about what you care about, right? It's that fuel in their heart. That's why I say developing leadership comes from your heart first, because if you really speak from that, this is authentic. The why is different than anything else. It absolutely gave me validation on everything that I thought I should be fitting into this box, right? When I learned that I was a challenge, I said, I am designed to think way outside of that box.
There is no box.
I don't see this box. And so many years, right? You feel like you're in a job or a job description and you're trying to meet all of those bells and whistles to achieve, yet you're not supposed to be in alignment with that box. And so you fight yourself. And when you realize the strengths that you have within you, and for me, the 15 laws of growth, you guys have all heard it. I'll say it again. Aligning that with the whys changes your life. Yes, it changes your life because you start to get really clear on your values from your heart and how you want to communicate. So that's what's always worked for me. And the last couple of years, Dan, going through this and bringing people on like Laura and Mark Caldwell and others that are coming, they see it too, because it is from your heart. And when you're an authentic coach, you want to help people work with finding their why, understanding how to live their why, and then what they ultimately can deliver to the success in their life. And that's what we love doing. That's why we're coaches.
Absolutely. So Laura, let me give you that opportunity. What does it mean to you to talk why to why?
Oh my gosh, it is so awesome. I'm on the edge of my seat going, can I please talk now?
Yes,
It's it's
please.
it's so powerful because it really brings everything together when Melanie introduced me to the why. Because my whole life, I've really loved to contribute to help people find their purpose and their why in life.
Right.
Because when you know your why, your what is powerful for one thing,
Mhm.
and it's so important because after someone takes it, you should see their faces. I mean, I wish I could take a picture of each time they take it. They're like, oh my gosh, that's totally me. It makes sense now, you know?
Yeah.
And it's so important to know your why because now you can contribute. Now you can use all your gifts that God's given you to the capacity of, what you are made for. And it just makes it clear for people because they sometimes they just get stuck and they run around in circles. And you're like, when they find out specifically what their why, their what, and their how, they're like, wow. And I love the way the why Institute really gives you like all your sheets and it gives you all
Right.
your messaging. Now it's because I help people grow their business. Now
Right.
it's like, well, there's all your words, there's all your messaging right there. And it just makes everything so clear.
I love that. And Laura, so you and I share contribute.
Yes.
And trust is number 4 for me. It's not in my top 3, but I like to call your YOS. So let's see. Let's pull you up here so that everybody can see. So your YOS is contribute, simplify, trust, and I like to call that the noble sandwich because you've got a noble why and a noble what with simplify in the middle. And here's what I know about coaches with simplify. Coaches with simplify are very successful because everybody needs a little simplicity and clarity in their life. And you take stuff that might overwhelm others and you make
Right.
it simple. You probably create simple frameworks for your clients that are easy to follow. And that's why you've been so successful. So I like that a lot because you care about people. You got the contribute and the trust so that you lead with that. But then
Right.
I think the part that I think makes you successful is you simplify things and you get to the bottom line with people. Does that sound like you?
Yeah, that sounds exactly like me because the fact that I help women
Yeah.
grow and scale their business to the next level. And so in my speech, it's like I make it simple. You can trust me. I get results for you. And
Yeah.
then I love to help. So I'm going to
Right.
be with you every step of the way. I'm going to show you step by step what to do. I'm not
Yeah.
like Melanie, like, let me challenge you. Like, no, let me show you my simple strategy that will help you
Right.
get from here to there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's the whole thing is I love to contribute to help people, support them. You can count on me. I'm gonna help you get there. And
Yeah.
then it's like, yes, you can trust me. I guarantee I have results and I have proven systems. And then the simple is I was there. And that's one of my stories, Dan,
Right.
is that I went around in circles for years trying to figure out how to be successful as a coach. How do you make the money? How do you get the clients? All those kind of good things. And I spent thousands of dollars trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So this is part of my messaging. Like, let me save you years. Let me save you the
Sure.
$50,000 that I put into coaching. Let me make it so simple and you don't have to take it. You don't have to have all those years figuring it out and spend all those thousands of dollars. I make it simple, easy, and you can trust me.
I love
All
that.
right.
You've got your messaging. So I'm going to get to that question later. You kind of answered it, but what
Okay.
the heck? We're not going to go in order here. We've got Melanie on. That's
Let's
not going to
challenge
happen,
you,
right?
okay? That's
I love
right.
it. Melanie, you're rubbing off on Laura. So Melanie, you've been with us for a couple of years now. And you mentioned that earlier. I'm a witness to the fact that you use why in just about everything you do. What's the journey been like for you? Because you went from an associate coach to a couple of weeks later, you know what? It's like, I want to be a full coach. And then you were doing the YOS manually. And now we have the YOS discovery that gives us, the results in 10 minutes. What's it been like? And you're building a team too. So what's that journey been like for you?
I think it's the clarity because my is, challenge, better way, makes sense. So I had to challenge the status quo to go, okay, this is a discovery that aligns with everything else that I do. How do I use it with the tools that I have? How do I then communicate it to people that I care about that can also take advantage of this? And in my state, I have been doing workshops and I have aligned with other disc coaches. I have disc certification, but yet they are really experts in this, right? They love disc like I love the why. So what we're doing is aligning ourselves for clients to say, "Hey, how can we collaborate together? How can we give them a better experience and not say, I have to have it all." right? That's the thing. When you have a growth mindset and you have a heart to serve people,
Right.
you find what your niche is and you do it well. Just like Laura has said, contribute, simplify, trust. She's got the simplify systems. I'm the one that challenges my clients to say, you don't even know what you need yet. So
Right.
figure that out. When you figure that out, then I'll send you to Laura, right?
Right.
Because she can have all the systems that you need, but yet you don't even know, you're so afraid to grow. You don't even understand who you are yet. So when that happens, that's where I thrive, right? I
Yeah.
want to help them see that they can go over that edge and connect to something that they've never thought possible. And so that's how it's happened with my clients, with the people in my life, with my family. I mean, all the things that I've stepped into, I've challenged myself to do something that nobody else is doing. I'm not the one that says, I got to look like Laura to be successful.
Right.
I don't. I don't want to look like anybody else because for me, it doesn't work, right? If
Right.
I try to duplicate somebody else, never works for me. So when people say, join my program and do this, I'm like, I don't do systems. I don't do structure.
Yep.
I challenge you.
I love. I was in one of your workshops, Melanie, and you led with that, and you said right at the very beginning, and I think that's the beauty of knowing who you are. Right at the beginning, you said, guys, if you're looking for a step-by-step agenda and you want to know exactly what we're going to do here, you're in the wrong place. We're going to zig, we're going to zag, we're going to go wherever the conversation takes us, but it's going to be valuable for you. Let me show you how it's valuable. And I can tell you, I think I was in the program for 3 weeks. It was on Sunday, so I stopped coming, but I love that you just led with that. Laura, I was going to ask you because you talked about how much money you spent in coaching, and so many coaches out there are doing that because I think it's almost like you're looking for that next certification. What's that magic bullet? And you finally just have to say, you know what? I need to start coaching. Right?
Mhm.
I need to stop looking for that magic certification. Do you find that maybe all that learning you did, which I'm sure helped you, and you spent a lot of money, and now you're very valuable to your clients, but you think you maybe were doing a little bit of that too?
Yes, I was. But looking back on it, I'm kind of glad that I went through that journey, even though it was hard, because now I can feel their struggle and I can feel their
Mhm.
pain and I can relate to them. But now
Yeah.
it's like, but let me save you, because I would always buy courses. Oh, this is going to be the magic one. Oh, this is going to be the
Right.
magic one, right? Well, no, it wasn't. But
Right.
through all that, that's why I love my mastermind too, because I've learned so much from coaches and from programs. But I just know, like, Melanie challenges you, but I want that system. I want
Yeah.
you to show me step by step. I
Yeah.
want to make it easy. And so we bring flavor, I guess you can say, to
Yeah.
certain people. So
Right.
my audience might not be for Melanie. Melanie's audience might not be for me, but
Correct.
you're going to hit and help those right people. So to answer your question is, yes, it really did help me. And now I can help others. And I kind of can, feel their pain and really help them with figuring out what's right, what's not. And so I'm like, no, don't go down that road. Yep, that is perfect. Those kind of things. So
Sure.
I really wanted to broaden my horizon for education and knowledge, but yet we can always, I should say, most of us we want to grab so much knowledge, but there's a time where now we need to apply it. A lot of coaches are always absorbing, but they're not applying it. So they can be overloaded with knowledge.
That makes a lot of sense. So here's the next question. How did you guys meet? I've got to hear about where did Laura and Melanie meet?
Okay,
Well,
Melanie.
when I left the John Maxwell certification, I met a person named Diane Dick.
Oh,
We talk about her all the time.
yeah.
Diane and I decided that we were going to start a coaching group and we were going to offer it 4 days a week and bring people in that were either new to John Maxwell or that needed to learn leadership principles and how to structure a business. Like, I didn't do the structure of business part. I did the values training, but we
Yeah.
all took a night. It was Greg Storch and Misael Diaz and Diane Dick and myself. And Laura joined that. And so I got to meet her because she was one of our attendees. So when we did Saturday coaching, open coaching, and when we did Monday night, I did the 15 Laws of Growth, of course. And so I really got to know Laura and her heart and where she was serving. And it
Right.
was amazing because we had such a connection. And
Mhm.
through these years, as she's watched, like, hey, you've been authentic like I am, right? So that's where we meet. We are so in alignment with our
Yeah.
heart to serve God and to serve faith-based people. And
Right.
so we just said, how can we do this better? And so, a few months ago we were talking and I said, you really should start using the why in your business. You've taken yours. How is that working? And we got to share a room together at IMC this last year, which was
Excellent.
amazing because now our friendship has really had just blossomed into
Mhm.
things that are going to keep us connected for life.
That's excellent. That's and that, I love you mentioned some names that I've met, and they are all incredible people. So
Mhm.
one of the things I have really enjoyed about meeting you, Melanie, is the people that I've connected with through you. And Laura is one of those people. We've had just a couple of brief conversations, but I
Mhm.
know she recently finished training. We were talking in the pre-show about how she's starting to use the YOS with her clients, and you mentioned it here. You'd love to capture that picture when people say, "Ah, that is me." And
Mhm.
we're Melanie, I might throw this out to you. We want to have a day where at one, a day and a time where we ask everybody to post on social media at that time and let everybody know their YOS and hold up their results, their Venn diagram. I think that should be kind of maybe right before the conference in September. But I know that you love doing that kind of stuff, so I might just recruit you for that. So here's the next thing I want to talk about: the YOS connection between the two of you. So what I have found is that when I share a why, any of my top three with someone like Melanie and I share make sense and challenge. So we get along, we connect pretty darn well. She leads with challenge, I lead with contribute. But when you share one out of the three, you get along well. If you share two, you're like simpatico. And if you share all three, it's like you're finishing each other's sentences. And whether regardless of the order, you guys don't have that though. You don't share any of your top three. I do
Mhm.
notice that you have both. You have Simplify, Laura, and
Mhm.
Melanie has Make Sense. So that's kind of a bottom line. Hey, here's the solution. Let's get to it. But there's a little bit more work that has to be done, right? When you're communicating with each other, because you don't have any of the same top three. So, what's been the biggest challenge for you, Melanie, communicating with Laura? And we'll start with you, Laura. What's your biggest challenge communicating with Melanie? And did understanding her YOS and understanding your own help in that?
I wouldn't say it's. Did you say challenge? I wouldn't say
Yes.
challenge. It would be like sometimes like, oh, like when she's like challenges me, I'm like, oh, I got to do it, But I think what we have in common is our faith. That's what, and
Yeah.
we're very authentic and real, and I really love that about her. And I
Yeah.
think that's why we connect so well, even though we're different. But I do, even though I like to make things simple and things, I do like the fact that she will challenge me.
Yeah.
But so that would probably be the only thing I'd be like, oh, there she goes challenging me again. I'll have the space. But the key thing is but we just, I don't know, it's just something about our tender hearts. We're just,
Yeah.
we just really are really good friends, and I think we'll be friends forever.
Best friends forever. Okay, Melanie, what about working with Laura? One of the challenges with contribute people is they're always contributing. So she's not a hard person probably to please, but what's your biggest challenge in communicating or the biggest plus of her YOS when you
Ugh,
work with her?
I learn so much from Laura,
Yeah,
right? I know what my challenges are because I'm a challenger. So I'm
right.
like, you look at the bad side of the challenge or the challenge part of challenge and you say, okay, you need structure, systems, processes. You
Oh,
know you have the right heart. You just
right.
need to slow down and make things simple. So for me, it's like I love watching Laura show up on all social media and it's like boom, boom, boom. You want this? Go here. You want this? Go here. And I'm like, that's not what I say. And I start rethinking about like, can people really hear my message? Right. They
Right.
know from my heart that I'm going to challenge them to be different,
Mhm.
to
Right.
create a better way and make sense out of it. Yet when I get into my classes and systems, like you said, okay, we're not going to go on a structured path. It's going to be, what it needs to be, but yet not a checkbox. So
Right.
I think that's what's interesting. The people that come to me don't necessarily go to Laura, but we share people, right?
Mhm.
It's
Right.
whatever part of the journey that they're on. I think that's what you get when you are a sophisticated coach. You really respect the space that people are in and you
Right.
say, look, we have to collaborate on things because not everybody is the same in this world. There are 70 billion, 700 billion people. And
Right.
so when you speak from your why, that's the thing. We
Mm,
understand you make more impact. You reach the people that actually can connect to you, that you can
right.
serve, and you can help them make more impact a lot faster than just trying to sift through social media, which we know is crazy, but you have to be consistent, right? And so that's
Mhm.
contributing and challenge. We both have that. We are super focused on being consistent.
You know, a lot of people, when we used to do this and we'd share the 9 whys with people like in a big audience, and we'd say, okay, which one do you think you are? Like 90% of the audience wanted to be contribute, because we all want to contribute, right? What I always tell people is we all contribute by using our gifts, right? The way Melahni contributes is by challenging the status quo and doing things differently. That is your contribution to the world. You can't be contribute, but we all do. Better way people. They contribute by finding better ways and then sharing them, right? Simplifiers contribute by simplifying things for others. Every single one of the whys contributes. Contribute just happens to lead with that. If you're contribute, you think you're going to help. You don't even have to have the skills, right, Laura? Somebody needs help. We're like, I'll help you.
Yeah.
Oh, you need a brain surgeon. Well, let's see what I can do.
I'll connect you to the right person.
Exactly. That's another great thing about contributors. You're always wanting to help, and you're going to connect people. So how do you use, Laura, how have you changed your messaging? Melahni talked about, and you mentioned it, you help people with their branding. How do you use your YOS in the work you do and the messaging that you put out?
Okay, I think you kind of went in and out. How do I use my why? Well, it's perfect because I help in business. So I use that why as far as I let people know that I'm here for you. I use all my words: contribute, simplify, and trust through all my messaging. And it's real important. And when people know that I'm going to be there and I'm going to help them get to the destination that they want, that's a game changer. And then telling them that I can be trustworthy and that I have solutions and I have proven systems, and then I have testimonies and people, I do a lot of videos and word, testimonies and stuff. Yeah. That speaks the message. And then also making it simplify for the people who, like me, want things simple. I'm going to reach this community and let them know what does look like, what does simple mean, and really explaining it in my messaging. People are like, oh, then they start, when you speak their language, you get people to do this, like, she's reading my my journal. She's like, she's speaking to my heart. I'm like, I want her. And when you have that down packed, that's when your business will explode, is speaking the language that people want to hear.
Oh, I love that, because I mentioned in the pre-call, I was working with a group of action coaches, and I was talking to them about the power, because there's 392 possible why, how, and what combinations between the 9 whys and how we can put them in order. So the way you fit a client is different than the way Melahni is going to fit that same client, right? So let's say I'm the client, contribute, challenge makes sense. The way Melahni and I are going to work together with her challenge, better way makes sense, is going to be different than the way I'm going to work with Laura. We're going to create different fits. The puzzle's going to fit differently. And you're going to bring something to me, Laura, that I'm going to love in the simplicity, because as a contribute, challenge makes sense, there's not a lot of simplicity in my life, right? I need that. So I will take advantage of that. One of our coaches in Texas, Marit Peters, she makes me laugh. Her challenging why that she would say, and not that it's a bad thing, but she says, when I work with a clarifier, I have a hard time because they have so many questions. She knows that if she's working with someone with the why of clarify, every half-hour call is going to turn into a 1.5-hour call. And she says, Dan, when that client comes across and I want to work with them, I double my fee. She literally says, I'm going to double my fee. When the contract I send to them is double, because I know I'm going to spend twice as much time. And if they're willing to pay that, I'm willing to spend the time with them. So it almost becomes a way for you not to be overwhelmed too, right? You know who the challenging whys are for you. So let's just make sure you're getting paid accordingly. I love that she uses that, and it makes a lot of sense, because then she's not resentful, right? Because if you schedule a half hour and it turns an hour and a half, you're thinking, okay, I'm losing money here, but not if you've already charged for it up front. So it's a great way to manage that. And I think that's a key of understanding the client. The other thing you said was around, understanding and talking to people in their language. So you mentioned the platinum rule. You didn't mention it, but that's what we say when we talk to people about the golden rule. And you guys are both faith-based coaches, so we know the golden rule well, right? Treat others as you would like to be treated. The platinum rule says treat others like they want to be treated. Talk to them in the language they're listening for. And that's the advantage that you get when you know their why operating system. you talk to them in their language and they say, oh my gosh, Laura gets me. Melanie gets me. She understands me. And that's what leads to those long-term relationships, right?
Exactly. And that's one thing that I do in my my academy is I have everyone take the why. So now then I can relate to them because they're not going to be exactly like me, but
Right.
now I'm speaking their language. And
Yes.
if they are one that is a contributor, oh, what's your top
Clarify.
one, Melanie? Your top one?
Oh,
Challenge.
challenge.
Okay, sorry. I had a senior moment, okay?
Yeah.
So we can have senior moments. That's my one. So if there are challengers, so I'm going to challenge them. I'm going to challenge,
Yeah.
okay, I want you to do this by Friday. I'm going to
Right.
challenge them. So to me, it's really important to understand each person. So every single
Right.
person enters my academy, they take the YOS. Yes.
Yeah. And so you get them started. And then I love, yeah, that's exactly what I would say. And so the coaches that are listening, I was telling you guys, we had a couple of coaches join this week, one in Australia and one is on the East Coast. And we've had 3 coaches in Australia. I'm very excited that we're worldwide. But tell me about this, because Melanie, this was a decision that you were able to make, a couple of years ago. You joined us. You said, hey, I'm going to join Y Institute and I'm going to add it. So let's talk to you, Laura. I know you were introduced to it via Melanie. What was it like? And what made you decide, you know what, I think I'm going to do that?
What made me decide?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh gosh, it just made it so clear because it was an added component of what I've already been doing because people always, because I started out as a life coach and now because I do the life and the business because you put the 2 together, people
Right.
are always saying, I'm stuck and I need help. And so I need to find out what my purpose is. Why am I here on this earth? I've even had doctors come to me. I'm like, I don't really know what my purpose is. And I'm thinking to myself, what? You're a doctor, you spent 12 years, but I
Yeah.
did get them. And so now with taking the why, it makes it so clear. And some of them will say, well, I'm not giving up my doctors, but I want to find out what my true purpose and why and passion is. And so this was a great added component to be able to really help people identify what their why, their what, and the who is. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was big, huge.
I love that. I talked to Gary, Melanie, Gary, he was a dentist for 30 years. And then he discovered his why. And that's when, when he and I reconnected, and he was my dentist for 20 years. But, when we connected around why, it was amazing when we started talking and he said, when I figured that out, I knew that my career in dentistry was coming to an end. This is what I need to be doing. I need to help people understand. I found a better way for people to discover their why, and I need to share it with the world. And so that's the mission we've been on. He's been on it for 13 years. I've been with him now for the last 3 years. Melanie's been on it for the last 2 years. So, it really is. So even doctors who, spent 12 years in school are asking themselves why. And I think it's so timely right now during the great resignation, and people are really starting to try to figure out, as the video said, we're redefining a lot of things. So getting in touch with that part of yourself is so important. So what's been your biggest breakthrough, Laura? I already know Melanie's. What about for you? What's been the biggest breakthrough or the biggest learning that you've had since you started using why?
Well, I actually have just probably the last couple of months. So this is kind of really brand new. But what's the biggest breakthrough? Just, even not saying anything against the disc, but just the disc was something, but the why just really completes it all about really figuring out, there's a difference thing between the why, but what about the how and the what? It
Right.
really clarifies exactly what people are looking for, really
Right.
clarifies what those components are to help them feel, I don't mean to say, I hate to say this, but it makes them complete, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's those 3 components that really speaks to them and really identifies them and clarifies the things that they've been asking themselves, or maybe even like they're so confused because they hear the voices of all the loud noises out there. It
Right.
really identifies like, wow, that's who I am. So they might know a little bit of their why, but what about their what,
Right.
So that's really been really huge for my clients and the ones that I've used so far and have taken it. And it's been really an eye opener and really clarifying and making things very clear for them.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Melanie, I want to thank you for bringing Laura on, for bringing Mark Caldwell on. I know we're working with a few other coaches that are going to be joining your team very soon. Do you have any last words before we sign off today?
Here's the thing. It's not just about you, right? The why is not just about you. It's about everything that you do in your life. It's every person in your life. It's every goal that you want to achieve. It will make so much impact for you. It has opened doors for me that I never thought possible to help with corporate clients, to be able to help them discover their corporate teams, their corporate structure. The Air Force is now discovering their why at a high level from the Pentagon. Like,
Right.
this is crazy because you just give somebody access to something that they never really understood. And
Yeah.
like Laura said, it is the process of the why, the how, and the what, putting it all together and being able to say, you get to own this now.
Yeah.
And for a lot of times, people in their lives, this great recession, this great pandemic has
Right.
allowed people to stop and think,
Yeah.
what do I really need to do with the rest of my life? So it's the perfect time for people to discover that next step. And there are lots of coaches, like Dan said, all over the world that want to help get you there. So we're the ones that really understand it, and we can guide you through it.
Well, thank you. Those are great closing words. Thank you so much, Melanie. Laura, it's been a pleasure to spend some time with you. I know we're probably going to spend some time on Zoom in the next few weeks, especially as you start getting busier. But I want to say thank you to both of you. I know this is going to be a great show for everyone to watch. And if you're out there, put your comments, let us know what you thought of the show. And I'll be seeing you guys soon. That's a wrap.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.